The Eagle news this week at the NFL Combine keeps getting more and more interesting, as two potential sure things don't sound so sure anymore. All while NFL insiders keep hinting that we're all focusing on the wrong Birds receiver. Oh, and Jalen Carter, he might have just given us the best news of the entire week. You gotta see this. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. Every year when Howie and Nick speak at the NFL Combine, it's really a game of cat and mouse. The only problem is we, the fans, are the ones left trying to figure out what's real and what's secret GM speak for. I'm not going to give you any details into my plans for the next couple of months. But I do think the picture became a lot more clear now that the buzz out of Indy is starting to grow. And there's some good and a lot of bad. First, though, the winner of the Jordan Spector Art Smitty card is announced at the end of today's video, so watch till the end to see if you want. Also, I need your help real quick because YouTube just unveiled their new hype feature. You might have seen this on the mobile app, and apparently it really helps out my channel. They're saying it's the new like button, helps the algorithm, so if you've never done it before, go down below, scroll to the right, and give this video a hype. It really is just like the like button, totally free, helps the channel out though, so give me a hype down below. Now, speaking of DeVonta Smith, and one of the biggest themes coming out of Indy the past couple of days has to be the excitement around Sean Mannion's new offense, with multiple big names outside the Birds facility raving about the new hire, including the Packers GM, who said, quote, he's going to do a great job. He has the ability to see the game through a quarterback's eyes because of his playing career, coming from a coaching family, and there's just a lot to like there. And then, not to be outdone, new Dolphins head coach Jeff Hafley also took to the podium, was asked about Mannion, and take a listen.
Oh, unbelievable person. Great friend, highly intelligent, really good with the players. What he did with Jordan, all the extra time he put in with them, you could just see that it was going to happen sooner than later. And not surprised at all. And he'll have a really, really bright future. A guy who played the position, studied the game. I'll be rooting for him because he's one of the really good guys in this league.
But this week, when anyone brings up Sean Mannion, the instant response is, yeah, but what happens if he doesn't have AJ Brown? Which I know I'm like you, exhausted about the AJBrownTrade speculation, which is why I'm pretty surprised everybody missed what Nick Sirianni said the other day when asked about the other Birds wide receiver, DeVonta Smith.
Oh, I think he continually gets better. I think you saw him have a great year this year. And, you know, even when a guy prepares not to have as good a year, like you're always looking at it like, is this arrow on the rise? Is this arrow on the fall? Like, and even if a guy doesn't have his best year, he still can be on the rise. Well, I think we saw DeVonta have a great year, and I think you just continue to see him play better and better. Excited about, you know, what he'll look like in this new offense that we'll have. You're trying to get your guys as many targets as you possibly can that are big time playmakers. I think that's kind of been questions that you guys have asked me is like, hey, how come this guy didn't get as many targets, and how come he got too many targets, and there's only one football. And so we understand that that's part of our job, that if DeVonta has 112 or 140, somebody else is going to have a little bit less. Then it's going to be, why did he get more targets? And so we understand that's kind of the flow of how it goes. And you know how, like last year, Smitty was highly productive, but we ran 24, pardon me. We ran the crap out of the ball, right? And so I think it just all depends. Obviously, we'll do whatever we need to do to try to win each game. Getting DeVonta Smith the ball and getting him targets is always going to be important, as long as he's an Eagle, to the success of our football team.
I think we all forgot that DeVonta Smith started the year this past season absolutely red hot. Coincidentally, that was the same time AJ Brown's targets were at their lowest. Then AJ voiced his frustrations, and he started to get the ball more. But that resulted in DeVonta Smith having less than 52 receiving yards in the final 6 Birds regular season games. And while sure, if Brown is traded, Smitty is definitely going to see an uptick in targets. That's obvious. But even if AJ Brown is here, 50-50 shot, I'd say, I think Mannion's secret weapon in the passing game is going to be the Slim Reaper. Because the Packers' passing game this past season wasn't necessarily led by their big physical deep ball threat in Christian Watson. It was led by their Smitty-style number 2 receiver in RomeoDoubs. Doubs accounted for more targets, more catches, and more yards than any other Packer receiver. And his route tree had him attacking defenses from all over the field. The difference, though, is that Smitty is a far more elite talent than RomeoDoubs. And in this new scheme, I see him being used a lot more like Jackson Smith and Jigba than ever before. Us Eagle fans have said Smitty's entire career that without AJ Brown, Smitty would be a number 1 receiver viewed in the National Football League. He would get so many more targets and yards. You would really see how good he is if 11 wasn't there. But there's one football, you got to share it. I get it. It makes sense. What Nick Sirianni is trying to tell us, though, at the NFL Combine, this season is going to be the year of DeVonta Smith. Buy his stock right now. I think he's going to go absolutely nuclear. Now, going from weapons to the Birds' offensive and defensive lines, how about Jalen Carter showcasing the healthy shoulders finally on Instagram just today? giving us our first look at what hopefully will be a 100% injury-free upcoming year for Philadelphia's best defensive player. And I mean that when I say that if Jalen Carter is healthy and also not getting thrown out for spitting on Dak Prescott, he is their best player on the entire roster. That's despite plenty of lackluster moments in 2025. When he flashed that Aaron Donald-esque ability that we all know is still in there despite the injuries. And Carter is also probably weeks away from a $100 million extension in Philadelphia. They're going to give him a brand new contract. And so proving that he's healthy right now on Instagram is probably a little ploy by his agent to maybe get some leverage at the negotiating table when talking to Howie and company. Either way, though, I think we have forgotten just how dominant this defensive line can be when Jalen Carter is their best player and obviously healthy. Because now you have the rise of Moro Ojomo, Jordan Davis, and the growth at edge rusher. But if you pair all of that with Jalen Carter at 100%, oh my goodness gracious, this defensive line, pretty good last year, will be 2, 3, 4, 5 times better in 2026. Which hopefully the same can be said for the Birds offensive line, which, again, we knew last week I said this, that Landon Dickerson was going to return. But for those wondering, he did make it official yesterday on Instagram. Despite all the injury concerns, he will return for at least another year. Meaning the Eagles' entire starting offensive line, it's going to be there from 2025 here in 2026. As Howie Roseman also mentioned during combine interviews the past couple of days, that Tyler Steen will be the team's starting right guard. Which kind of throws a wrench into the whole bring back Mekhi Becton crowd, although that took another real blow, especially from Tony Pauline, NFL insider, when he said, quote, Eagle fans hope the team would scoop up Becton. I'm told the interest isn't mutual from the organization. And that's probably going to come as a surprise to a lot of you because I think all of us are expecting Becton to come back. He was so terrible with the Chargers last year. He's only had success in Philadelphia. A fit made a ton of sense between both sides. But if Dickerson's going to be back healthy and they believe in Tyler Steen, then maybe there's not a lot of room for Mekhi Becton. And according to Pauline, that appears to be the case. Personally, I think Philadelphia should still take a look because they need O-line depth, and Becton should not be too expensive because he was so bad. Honestly, why not? But if Pauline is correct, Pierce reunion is not going to be on the table. Here's y'all's thoughts on that down below. What I do think is certainly on the table, though, is the possibility of trading Tanner McKee, more specifically to the Jets, which Pauline also noted earlier this week that, quote, if the Jets general manager gets his way, they will look to bring in a less expensive signal caller, and 2 names keep entering the conversation, Tanner McKee and Davis Mills. And honestly, I'm all for this because as we get closer and closer to the NFL draft, Tanner McKee's price and his stock is only going to rise because right now it is a historically bad NFL draft quarterback class, minus the guy at the top, and the free agent class, it's not that good as well. If you're a team that needs a quarterback right now, what are your options? I mean, it's Fernando Mendoza at 1, only one team can get him, or giving Malik Willis $30 million a year in free agency. Goodness gracious, that tells you it is very slim pickings at signal caller, and so McKee's stock, especially in the trade market, I think it goes up, and teams are definitely going to call. And then, yes, they would lose Tanner McKee, but could just go into the draft and get the next guy in the quarterback factory. I mean, for example, Philadelphia just hired a new assistant quarterback coach in Montgomery Van Gorder, who was at UGA when now Miami quarterback Carson Beck was there, and a lot of people are speculating day 2, day 3, get a backup quarterback. Could Beck be a solid replacement for McKee? I don't know, we'll see, but kind of makes a lot of sense. I think Howie Roseman understands that the window to trade Tanner McKee and get something serious in return, I don't know about a second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever, it's getting smaller and smaller. McKee's getting older and older. He's not getting any more reps as a starting quarterback behind Jalen Hurts, and we've had enough of a little bit of a dip in starting play, end of the season, the past 2 seasons, for teams to kind of go, I think there's something here with Tanner McKee. And so for me, he's just going to sit on the bench behind Jalen Hurts for how many more years? Get rid of him now, get something in return, and just draft and develop his replacement. Now, speaking of drafting and developing his replacement, and we move on finally to Dallas Goedert because there's been a lot of confusion around Goedert and re-signing in Philadelphia from Indy this week, mainly due to the following quote from Howie Roseman being taken completely out of context.
Yeah, tremendous player in person for the Philadelphia Eagles. Really glad we were able to figure it out and bring him back to Philadelphia this year and for this season, and tremendously productive for us. Just a huge asset for our offense to have him on our football team. Again, we got to put the whole puzzle together. And so to sit here, we got a lot of other free agents too, and say, hey, we're definitely going to get this guy back. You know, when we get this late, obviously the market dictates a lot of that as well. But, you know, we'll certainly sit down with his agent here over the next couple of days and have a conversation. Very appreciative of Dallas Goedert.
That last part where Roseman said we're going to sit down with Goedert's agent had a lot of people on Twitter saying, oh, that means they're going to sit down, get a deal done, and re-sign him in the coming days. However, that doesn't appear to be the case. It's just standard operating procedure right now for internal free agents to meet with Howie Roseman to see if they're going to re-sign or go somewhere else. And Jeff McLane added to this on his podcast just the other day, where he said that Dallas Goedert is, quote, likely gone and will not return to Philadelphia. And while sure, McLane could be wrong, anything's possible. I think Philadelphia would like to bring back Dallas Goedert. I think the same goes for someone like Nakobe Dean. He is going to be outpriced anywhere near what Philadelphia would want to offer because of how productive he was this past season. Goedert just came off an 11-touchdown season in Philadelphia and clearly does not want to re-sign another one-year contract for $8 million with the Birds. He wants to go out and be paid top 5 tight end money, get that last big contract in. If that's the case, a 3-year deal, $10+ million, it's going to be too much for Philadelphia to swallow. Again, I would like Goedert back, but I'm just telling you, McLane thinks it's not going to happen. Other reporters out of Indy are saying he's probably going to be too expensive. I'll be very surprised if Goedert comes back. It would have to be at the right price. Now, of course, this all can change every single day, basically. The NFL Combine is so nuts because you have one insider on some podcast saying this thing, and another insider on a different podcast saying the exact opposite. It's going to flip-flop. It's going to change. All I can do on my show, though, is tell you what people are saying and give you my opinion on it. And so bear with me. It's going to be nuts until March 11th. We're getting close, but free agency is still 2 weeks away. And a lot, as I just said, is going to change between that. And so buckle up. This is what the offseason is all about. It always is. And I enjoy it. Hopefully you guys do as well. Now, let's give away the Immortal Moments DeVonta Smith card. Mentioned Smitty today. This is the perfect time to give it away. And that person who commented Smitty properly, or Slim Reaper or 6, just mentioned DeVonta Smith, was at PDellis2002. So PDellis, you won. Go down below. Send me an email. Prove it. You'll get it sent out. Plenty more giveaways happening soon, though. Some pretty cool Jordan Spector stuff happening next week. Subscribe for that. I'm Thomas Mott, hanging out here on a Thursday. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.